and head down through the front yard. Alright, this gate is funny, but I love it. You just kick it open and give it a really good slam shut, and it just jams in. And then keep coming on down this way. Sometimes the goats get in your way down here, and it's crazy, but you just gotta stay in charge. Are you still videoing, Jennifer?
Yep.
Okay. When both horses are in, it can be kind of crazy. I see Sugar already went out. If she's in, I clap my hands really loud and tell her to get out, and she usually does. I set her food down by the gate and come over Gideon. I come over here and feed Gideon first. I make sure his
Sugar.
bowl. Get out, Shug. Get out. Dump his food in. Dinner. You missed the dumping part, babe.
Sorry.
Okay, when I dump in his food, you gotta go get closer. Come on. You gotta dump it in really hard, like I slam it like that and hit a corner so that all the food falls out, because it's wet, so it really sticks. So you whack it in there really good. Get out, Shug. Get out. Get out. Go on, get. You stop his eating. Come over here to feed Sugar. Sometimes she knocks her bucket off and I just reach through and it should be hanging on, not the top one, not the second one, but the third one down. And then I make her move her head with one hand while I dump it in with the other so she doesn't whack the bucket out of my hand. And then one very important thing as we head up the hill, when we go through this gate, you stay there, Detter, stay there. You just close it like this. You just let it touch the pen. You don't actually lock it, because Gideon will come over here and push it open and let himself out. If you lock it, you'll have to come let him out. And then we head up the hill to do the hay. You can, as you get to the top of the hill, there's these electric gates right here. They unhook at this end, right there. But also the electricity is not on, so you can just lift it up and go under. Can you see me, Ditter Bear?
Yeah.
All right, you can turn it back off. And we head up. Turn it on. Bring this over here. Maybe don't get so close so you can see me. And I wash out Gideon's bucket with the sticky mat. Just rinse it and flip it. And I leave the hose out because I know I'm going to need it again in a few minutes. We come over here to get the hay. Open up this door. I just do the slide door. You're going to put the wheelbarrow right here so I can bring the hay out into it. Go up in here. You may need to come up here, Ditter. Tell me if you do. We want to do 2/3 of a bale of hay. So I already have about 2/3 of a bale of hay here. Not sure if that's quite enough, but hopefully that'll. And then we put it into the wheelbarrow. I plop it down in there. 2/3 of a bale of hay is about all this wheelbarrow will hold. And then we roll back over to the gate. And we get the super rake too. And bring it along with us. And Ditter, come over here, sweetie. And the hay feeder is always somewhere across the field in the tree line. I move it around from time to time. Put it over there and put the hay in. You can stop. Alright. Come over to the hay feeder. I just toss the rake out of my way because I don't need it yet. Sometimes Sugar is already over here waiting on you and she gets in the way, but all she wants is hay. You just get them all up here in the hay rack. If the hay is still tied together, like sometimes if I have a 2/3 of a bale that's all from one bale, I'll use the ropes and just tie it back together so that it's easier to carry. And then you can put it in tied, but just be sure you take the hay ropes back off if you have it tied when you get over here. And after that's all in, you take the wheelbarrow and you start looking for poop piles. Turn it that way, Ditter. There's usually some in the middle of the field under these There's also usually some along the woods line, and then along the tree line at the bottom of the field. Those are kind of the favorite places. So we go around scooping all that up. It usually only makes, it's about 1 wheelbarrow load a day. Keep moving the wheelbarrow to where the poop piles are. And we pretty much get it all up. Aside from the tiniest little crumbs on the ground, we want to get up the whole mess. And move to where there's more. Down scooping poop at the bottom of the field. I just make sure that the water looks good and clear. We turned on that timer earlier. That 15-minute timer runs the horse water down here. And usually it'll make most of the stuff come out of the junk that's floating will just overflow. But I just come over here and knock out leaves or whatever else might be in there and make sure it looks nice and full and clean. And then we take our wheelbarrow up the hill to dump it. Go, wheelbarrow. This is also a convenient time if Gideon has already gone out to the hay to go back over here and shut his gate if you don't want horses to be in there the next time you feed. Makes it easier. Sugar usually comes out even if she sees you coming. So I just come back down here and shut it so that you won't have to deal with having horses already in there when you come down to feed. Come back up into the top and head over to the far end of the riding ring. You can stop videoing for now. Get over here. Get it up on the pile as much as you can and dump it out. Use these little guys. They're wonderful. The other thing is, if you don't want to take the long way around, like all the way that way, you can just come up this steep hill right here. But it's a lot harder to get the wheelbarrow up than the other hill. But whatever floats your boat, I do it both ways depending on where I am. Let's see. Then we take the wheelbarrow back over to the driveway and wash it out so it'll be clean for the next day to put hay in. Put that right there. Put the rake back in the corner. And then I come over here and hose out the wheelbarrow. Obviously it doesn't come all the way clean, it's stained, but I just want...
Mom, get that side.
What?
That side.
I did, it's just stained. So that's about as clean as it gets. And then we roll it back down to the end of where we got the hay in the first place, into the trailer. Tilt it up so it can drain, and be sure the hay door is shut. And then last but not least, we check all the gates before we leave this area to make sure nobody's going to escape while we're gone. All the little spring gates should be shut. The little stretchy metal ones, those are all supposed to be shut. And of course, just check these. You can take a chain and hook it up over these handles just as an extra protection. And then we grab our buckets and head back to the house. We'll put the hose back and turn off the water, so we don't have a really big water bill.
Oh, thank you, Mother. You just sprayed me.
You're welcome. Now we head back to the house. And we bring the horse buckets back, even if they're wet, and stick them on top of the cans so we're ready for tomorrow. And we bring back the little feeder that we fed Sasha with, and we put it back in the barn. Bringing back Sasha's scooper, stick it back in there, and then we get the chickie feed, which I just have in a little bucket, and we head out here to the chickies. They're down around on the end of the barn. Good morning, everybody. There's all the little guys. And if their food gets gross, I dump it out, but other than that, I just kind of top it off. Stick a little in there. And that one's looking kind of gross because it's got poop and stuff in it. So I'm just gonna shake that out. Cool. And then I'll put more in there. You don't really fill this one up, you just sprinkle it around the edges. And then I take their waterer. This one's empty, pretty empty, so if it was full, I would just kind of swirl it around and shake off the old water and then set it back in there. But since it's empty, we're gonna go refill it and hose it out really good on the back porch, and then we'll bring it back. And locking up is so important. Every gate, every animal cage that you go through, be sure that they get closed because things will get away, things will die, horses could get out into the swampy woods. Lots of things go wrong when gates and cages get left open. This is the little hose timer in the backyard near the barn, which is right over there. This timer runs this little waterer for the dog. It runs that trough down there on the ground that the ducks use, and of course the dogs use it too, but I'm trying to have them one clean one. This one, when it gets all gross like this, you can just lift up this piece of wood, and I kind of slosh it around to get that dirt loosened up, and then spin it all the way over to dump it out and put it back down. It's not spotless, but it's cleaner than it was. If you really want it spotless, rub it with your hands. It comes on 3 times a day. As long as it's set to where it's on auto, then it should be working. The only bad thing is if kids come along and switch it to off because they think it looks fun to twist. That red handle should always be up. There's a lot of stuff on here that you really don't even want to know about. So if you ever need it to pop on just to make sure, because the water doesn't look right, you can hit this manual button and then you can adjust the minutes. I'll just do 5. And in a minute you'll hear it click. And then it comes on and it will start squirting water into this one. And that one, sometimes they take a minute, but I can hear it bubbling over there. And it's coming on in this one too. And it also runs the water. There's a hose that goes through the ground all the way over to the chicken house way over there. And there's a little waterer out in their pen that this also controls. So when you're in the pen each day, you should be able to see that it looks like there was water in there. I think that's about it. They fill up on their own and shut off. Back at the hose right by the front yard gate. This timer is the one that controls the horse water and the garden sprinklers. So if I flip it on to 15 minutes, which it just lines up with, I can't even see it on here. Oh, it lines up with this little black pointer right there. So that's at about 15 minutes. It's usually automatically on the horse one. This top green one goes all the way down to the horse watering trough. But if I want to water the garden, then I switch this one on and the horse one off. Sometimes they're pretty stuck. And that will turn on those guys, which we would need to do if it hasn't rained in a few days. It takes it a minute to get going. The pressure has to all fill up before they really work well. So only if it hasn't rained in a few days, you could run that for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes if it's pretty dry out here. And then the next day, if you need to do the horses again, just make sure it gets switched back to where it's on horses rather than on the garden. And it really won't run both at once. I've tried running it to where it would be horses and watering the garden at the same time, and there's just not enough pressure to run the sprinklers. Sasha hangs out on the front sidewalk. She uses that gate right there or other fences to hop over. She goes up on the front porch, but she only comes about this far, not much farther, because that black thin wire right up there is her invisible fence, which usually follows the fence except for right there. It just goes straight to the garage. So she figured that out. She's so smart, and she comes on the front sidewalk and the front porch, but she hops back in the yard anytime she wants to. So she's just so intelligent.